Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am Lorraine Moy. I am the chairperson of South African Women in Plumbing. And today we'll be telling you a bit about our organization. Okay. So, Women in Plumbing started 2019. We had a Women's Day event in August. Industry got together, women from across the sector. So it was from plumbers, business owners, admin ladies, ladies, wives of plumbers. And we sat down as 30 women and we had a discussion about our role and what challenged us as women in the plumbing industry. So we had there was 30 women and we had three tables and we had the ladies list the challenges, and all three tables came up with the same three items in different order. But the three items that came up were the fact that number one, being undermined by our peers. Number two was sexual harassment. And number three were lack of bathroom facilities for female apprentices and female plumbers. So with that thought process, we had to sit down and think, so what do we do in this situation? And we then decided to formalize Women in Plumbing as its own organization, as its own NPC, registered NPC. And that's what we did. We have three directors, myself, Kayla Wilson, and Candace Gomes. We have a board of six ladies, which represent different sectors across the plumbing sector. I think a lot of people hear Women in Plumbing and they assume it's just get up to the female plumber, but it isn't. This organization is for women that are in the plumbing sector. And as you can see on the screen, when most people think of plumber, they think he. I mean, you look at majority of the literature out there, everything will say he will, he will. But we've seen that in the last couple of years, there's been a lot more intake of women in the plumbing sector as plumbers, but also women that work in the plumbing sector. So number one, our main thing is that we want to make sure we change the industry's perception and also the perception of females generally. I think a lot of women just think that coming into the plumbing sector it's such a male dominated industry. All you want to do is the fact that you just want to think to yourself, let me go do something else. But really plumbing is one of the most, innovative. It's one of the most exciting trades from all the trades. Hence why I became a plumber, because I found that it was something that I really wanted to do and I wanted to understand how it worked. And obviously, number two, which is sexual harassment. So women get sexually harassed, I mean, across the sectors, whether you're in corporates, whether you're in trades. But in trades, it's worse because of the fact that you're in minority. And majority of the time, it's not taken seriously. And that was one of our first order of business as Women in Plumbing was creating this anti-sexual harassment pledge. So on the 14th of April, we got some industry stakeholders together to come and sign the pledge. Um, we also are going to be sending this out to industry. So you as yourself as an organization, as an individual, you'd be able to sign this pledge. Because at the end of the day, women shouldn't be excluded simply because of the fact that they don't feel safe in their work environment. And sexual harassment, people always just think is the fact that it's a guy just coming onto you or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that the way people speak to you, the way the innuendos and all of that, it's at many a times, it really it changes women's perspective on the fact that I don't want to work in this industry because at the end of the day, all I am is a slab of meat. And that's what we want to make sure that people understand. And also for us, it's supporting women within the plumbing industry is that many a times, when you work in this industry, whether you're in sales or whatever, people don't understand your excitement about this or what's happening, the changes that are happening in your industry. And it's nice to have a fact that you would have people that you'd be able to have that discussion with, be able to form a sisterhood, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, what you want is to be able to plot a course in your own career and thinking the fact that just because I started off as a plumber doesn't mean that I'll end up only as a plumber. And even if I am in sales at the moment, I might end up doing something else in this plumbing. And for us also, obviously, training and upliftment, because we want to make sure that women understand their role and we want to make sure that they understand that they can be anything they want to be, and especially for the younger girls, because if I had had plumbing exposed to me when I was in high school, I think I would have started much earlier than what I did, simply because of the fact that it wasn't something that was I wasn't exposed to it, because everyone mostly thought of the boys, obviously. But if women are exposed to the fact that you can do so much more in the industry, and also not only be a plumber, but do other parts of the plumbing, be part of the plumbing industry. So when we sat down, we thought about our vision as South African Women in Plumbing, as this group of 6 women that got together. We thought that our main thing is the elevation of women in the plumbing industry. That's the thing across the value chain. And like I said before, a lot of people think women in plumbing and they think it's only for the plumbers, and it isn't. It's for all women that work in the plumbing sector. This is your organization. And also we want to make sure that the role of women, our mission, is to make sure that the role of women in the plumbing industry is acknowledged. Majority of the time, if you're speaking to anybody, these ladies in the offices, it's the ladies. You don't speak to the plumber, which is usually the gentleman. You also want to bring a lot of women's issues to the fore, like we said, the sexual harassment and any other issues that we find prevalent to us as women. And obviously influence policy and legislation on women's issues. So that's important to us because we want to have a voice in the plumbing industry. And the first thing that we started off is that we are now part of the SABS Technical Committee as South African Women in Plumbing. And again, uplifting women in the plumbing industry. That's from the APPIs, everyone. For us, it's imperative that women have a voice, that women have a place they can go to, that women understand that we bring value. And honestly, we're the backbone of this industry. Because I know that a lot of plumbers don't like to do their own admin work. And who does that? It's the ladies in your office. They're the ones who keep the money coming in. They're the ones who keep the ball rolling and keep these businesses afloat. And that's the main things that women need to understand, what an important role that they play in the plumbing industry. So we have 3 different membership categories. So you can join as an individual member, you can join as a small female-owned small business, or you can join as a corporate. Obviously looking at the different needs of these different memberships, that's why we've listed the different the benefits for the ladies. And also I've been asked, can only women join? Yes, only women can join. If it says that at Home Affairs that you are registered as a female, you may join, not if you identify as a female. We've had that question. I've done this presentation quite a few times and I get that question all the time. Men can support us. We value your support, but this organization is purely for women. So looking at what's happened in the last couple of years, let's talk about the female plumber, which I am. So the female licensed plumbers as of 2018, we were looking at a 1.4%, while now we're looking at 2.16%. And a lot of people look at that and they think, oh, but that's a drop in the ocean. And that's actually an international norm. If you go to Australia, you go to Canada, you go to America, that is where women are roughly sitting at 2 to 3%. We know that looking for 50% split in women plumbers in the plumbing industry is something that will be realized in my lifetime. But I know that at least if we're looking at a 20 to 30% split between, so 70%, 30% women in the industry is something that is attainable. But at the same time, we need to make sure that plumbing is something that is brought out to the fore, that people understand. I mean, going to these schools and exposing young ladies and exposing also, gentlemen also to it, because plumbing is actually it's an amazing industry to be part of. It's an amazing profession. I know that the first thing that I do when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I'm a plumber. I don't shy away from the fact that I'm a plumber, that I've unblocked drains, that I've installed geysers. It brings me a lot of joy because that's what gets me out of the bed in the morning. And because of this, we've seen quite a bit of increase, 163% increase in females becoming licensed plumbers in the past 3 years. Currently, there's 150 female apprentices that are being trained through a program between IOPS and Harambee. And so we've got 150 of these apprentices that will be joining us in this industry. And if we're not able to accommodate them, make them understand that they've made the right choice, because at the end of the day, when you take the time to become a professional, you want to make sure that the environment that you come into is an environment that is conducive to your professional path. And that is the main reason why Women in Plumbing is here. We fight for women's issues. We fight for the fact that people make a make an example. You know, people talk about the chairman, the chairman, the chairman, but the fact of the matter is it's the chairperson, because now there's more women now that are joining that level in the industry. And that's what we want to make sure, is that South African women in plumbing is not just seen as a nice to have or a placeholder. We actually really here to fight for women's issues. So like I said, you know, the main thing for us is that women need to find their voice in their industry, that they're the backbone of. And that's what's so important for us as an organization. And what's important for us is to make sure that women are heard, women are taken seriously. We are not just here to be pretty. We find that a lot of women go through the apprenticeship process, and the first time they actually have to dig a trench is when they have to go do their trade test, or the first time they actually have to carry anything heavy is when they're going to go do their trade test, their training for it. Where we get that we get the fact that you want to shield us from our own professions, but that isn't what it is. When you decide to become a tradesperson, you make a conscious decision to understand that there's times where you're going to have to dig a trench, you're going to have to get dirty, and that we're not just here to fill out the paperwork. So the women that are joining this industry need to be made to understand that, and the men that are even part of it need to understand that more women are joining it, and that there needs to be a cohesion between us, in the fact that the plumbing industry now is changing and is evolving. And also for the ladies that are, you know, the admin ladies that sit behind the desks doing such important work, we have to make sure that these ladies are acknowledged and that their role is acknowledged in these organizations. Kayla, I don't want to add anything to this.
Morning. Thanks for that, Lorraine. I just wanted to add that if anybody would like some more information about South African women in plumbing, we do have a website up. It is www.womeninplumbing.co.za.
People ask, are there any organizations such as ours across the world? But a lot of women, there are these organizations about women plumbers and women in the plumbing sector, but usually they are aligned to another organization. We are a standalone organization. Like I said earlier, we have our own constitution, our own board, our own everything. When we speak about women in plumbing, we speak about ourselves and ourselves only. We're not pushing any agenda of any other organization, but only the fact of only women's issues in the plumbing sector.
And Lord, just to add in there that we are a Women in Plumbing is a fully registered non-profit company.
Yes, we are a non-profit organization. Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for everybody's time. Thank you for joining us this morning and letting us chat about our organization. And hopefully we look forward to a lot of women joining us.